Hey, what is up everyone? It is Liv and this is my long overdue October wrap up. This is also going to be a quick future content update. I say quick because I don't know what the plan is yet. I really don't. I am moving in 6 days. I'm gonna pack these immediately after we finish this video. Yeah, but I am moving in 6 days. I had a rough year, as you've probably noticed from some of my vlogs, and I am just moving back in with my parents for 6 months to recuperate some savings before I go back out in the world, because it has not been going well. That being said, I don't fully know what content is gonna look like. Both of my parents are retired, and I don't think I'm gonna want to film around them a lot. When I started this, or restarted this channel, and I was living with roommates, I always felt awkward filming when they were home. I imagine with my parents it would be worse. So I feel like I'm gonna have a lot of vlog updates from like my car, either before I go to the gym or when I'm like arriving to work early or something. I feel like that is gonna be a lot of the vibe. Also, my parents' house is 130 years old at this point and has some of the original windows. So the curtains are always drawn. It's just always so dark in there that I can't imagine how I would film. I know how I filmed when I started my booktube when I was living there in high school, but I don't think the lighting was ever that great. It might just have to be a big light and we work with the awkwardness for a few months. That being said, I don't even know when you're gonna see content at my parents' house, because I am probably somewhere between 4 to 6 vlogs behind posting. I have an unhaul I have to post. I have this I have to post. Kind of want to get all of this year's content out before the end of this year, but the end of this year is in like 6 weeks. Less than? More than? I don't know. It's the 16th of November. We're not doing good. Yeah, so things are just gonna look a little different. I think maybe my November and December wrap-ups are gonna be together as one. I have a fun TBR game I have planned that I'm gonna use my boxed up books, like I'm gonna use the boxes kind of to determine what I'm gonna read. And then also I think, where are they behind me? I have all of the Hunger Games books, and somewhere up here is Sunrise on the Reaping, which I have not read yet. And I think I'm gonna do a, reading one of my favorite childhood books series in my childhood home. That'll be fun. Anywho, let's just hop into my November wrap up. I don't have the usual stats that I have because I haven't packed my reading notebook, but I don't know where it is. So I am just gonna use my spreadsheet, my With Allie yearly spreadsheet. I am gonna use that instead. Oh, that's my 2024 one. That's not helpful. This video, I do fear, is just gonna be chaotic, and I apologize. I am doing my best with life right now. And hey, so let's see what stats I can give you. Okay, in October, I read 10 books for 2 different vlogs. One vlog is done and is 2.5 hours of footage, and I have edited 30 minutes of footage. One vlog is still happening and I want to die. Okay, I read 10 books. I read I hate looking down so low. I read 2,736 pages, and 100% of my reads were horror. It was October. That was all I was reading. I read 9 novels and 1 novella. That's kind of actually wonky. We'll get into that later, but that's not fully true. 7 of the books were by authors I've read before. Again, you'll understand when we talk about what vlogs I did. I read 2 new to me authors, and I read a debut book. Which it was not a debut this year, so it could also just be a new to me author. 7 of the books I listened and read at the same time. I immersion read them. And 3 I read just physically. 2 were independently published and 8 were traditionally published. My average rating for the month was a 3.9. I gave out 2 5 stars, 1 4.5 star, 1 4 star, 3 3.5 stars, and 2 3 stars. I gave that book I hated a 3 star. That's crazy. I get it. Okay, I didn't hate it. And then what else do I usually tell you? And what do I not? I wish I had like a photo of what I keep in these pages. This is when the memory issues are rough for me. 7 of the books I read this month I had owned prior to this year. 2 I have purchased from a bookstore this year, and 1 I got in a book box this year. Out of all 10 books I read, 8 of them were diverse. 3 featured LGBTQIA plus voices or characters. And yeah, all 10 were fiction, and I think that's really all I need to tell you. 1 was a part of a series that... No. Oh, yeah. The one I hated. Okay. Again, we are gonna maybe talk about the books kind of fast this month. I didn't have the time I usually would to sit down, write down all the points I want to make about each of these, but I do want to tell you, because I read a lot of fun books, and I started my month reading, it's just spoiler alerts for all the vlogs that are going to be coming out. I spent the first half of the month reading my favorite authors' books, every single one that I had on my TBR. So I started off with Mongrels by Stephen Graham Jones. This one I gave a 4.5, and I cannot wait to reread it because I do think it can be a 5. I think maybe it should be a 5, but I don't like to retroactively change my ratings, mostly because I did that a lot when I was younger, but I have a bad memory, so it would be like someone told me something about a book that like gave me an ick, and I'd be like, adjust the star rating. And I don't know, I don't like that because it should be how I felt in the moment, and if I want to adjust it, I should reread it. Anywho, this book was so good. We are following a young character who is never named. He starts off as an 8-year-old, and I think we follow him all the way to 18, maybe 17. And it's basically about his life living on the run with his aunt and his uncle, who are werewolves. And he doesn't know if he's a werewolf yet. He's waiting to find out if he's gonna turn when he is a teenager. Maybe he's a late bloomer. Maybe it's never gonna happen. And it was so fun. He loves his grandpa. He's traveling mostly with his aunt and his uncle, but in the beginning, he has a lot of conversations with his grandfather. His grandfather tells him a lot of werewolf stories, and it's so reminiscent of The Things They Carried, which was my favorite book in high school. And I do think in the acknowledgments, Stephen Graham Jones talks about The Things They Carried, but it is so fun because the grandfather's stories, who also isn't named, they're the only 2 without names, the grandfather and the grandson, 2 sides of the same coin, no name. But his grandfather is telling him all these stories that are half truths, half fiction, very meta, just like The Things They Carried. And it was so fun to watch him grow up and learn and understand like the parts of the story his grandfather changed and why he changed them. And it was so fun. This is mostly just a coming of age story with a family that's werewolves. And it was so fun, and I loved it so much, and I cannot wait to reread this one day. The next Stephen Graham Jones I picked up, and this is why I said I think all of Stephen Graham Jones is why the novella novel part is different. Oh, this is still in here. I never went back and finished the author's notes about the stories, which is crazy because I usually love to read anything Stephen Graham Jones writes about why he wrote a story the way he did. But this is just 3 short stories. The first one I really did not enjoy. It is an average rating, and if I'm being 100% honest with you, since I don't have my notebook, I don't remember what I gave each of these because usually I write it in here, and I didn't. And sorry, we're unorganized. Life is a mess. But mess is real, I guess. You know, nothing's fun all the time, but I can goof and gab and have fun when life isn't fun. What? Okay, this is 3 short stories. The first one is called Interstate Love Affair. I think I didn't like it because there was a lot of dead dogs on the side of the road, and it was when Navy was really sick, and I was just dealing with his immortality, which felt weird. But the ending of the first one I really enjoyed, and it really brought it up for me. So I do think I ended up giving that a 3-star. The second one is called No Takebacks, and it's about like a haunted killer app, which was really fun. And then the third one was... What happened in the third? The third one was like bug horror, and that was really fun too. And this ended up being a 3.5 star. I don't want to tell you much more about any of those. The next book I read was The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I gave this a 5-star. Obviously. I can't believe it took me this long to get to this one. This book is so good. In this book, we are following 4, maybe 5 vaguely. 5, you only see one in like the first 3 pages. Oh, okay. The Only Good Indians follows 4 American Indian men after a disturbing event from their youth puts them in a desperate struggle for their lives. Tracked by an entity bent on revenge, these childhood friends are helpless, and as their culture and traditions they left behind catch up to them in a violent and vengeful way. I really struggled to talk about this in the vlog because That's all the back of this book says. And then you read the Goodreads synopsis, and it's like they went on a hunt and they killed something they shouldn't have, and they're being haunted by that entity. And I was like, oh, I could have just talked about that. But they went hunting somewhere in the woods where they shouldn't have, and a few years later, the entity of what they killed has come to call, and it's time for its revenge. This was so good. I don't want to talk too much about it because everything I just told you was pretty much vaguely what I knew going in, and I do think it's really fun to go into this one blind. I will say this book, I had decided in my head where it was going to end. So there was one piece of this that Stephen Graham Jones was like spoon feeding me, literally spoon feeding me the foreshadowing of what was really going to happen, and I was just like, no, he just like loves horror movies. That's why that's there. That doesn't have anything to do with this story. I was pleasantly surprised with how this ended, and I really enjoyed this one. This is also one I cannot wait to reread again. Okay, the last few Stephen Graham Jones. I read The Last Final Girl. I loved this. I could see why people wouldn't like this. I could see why if you only listen to this on audiobook, it would be so confusing. But this book is told kind of like a movie script, but not fully, but it is in the 3 parts, and there will be just arrows, and you go into the next portion, and there is no breaking that up in the audiobook, but those are like the scene changes and how the camera would pan out, and it was really fun for me. And overall, I think I gave this, here's how you know the memory is really bad. It's not in this sheet what I gave this. I think it was a 4. But I waited too long and I never wrote it down. And again, I have really bad short-term recall, so I've been waiting for me to get to the point in editing this video to know what I gave it. I do think it was a 4. This book felt so fun for me because our main character is this girl who loves horror. She fully understands the genre, and at the beginning of this book, there is a slasher who attacks these other people, and she's just kind of afar watching the final girl from this, and it's her and her friend who love horror, and are just like, that's crazy, what do you think's gonna happen? They're just like watching this unfold from the sidelines. But reading this book kind of felt like I was reading the birth or the initial conception of Jade Daniels. My sweet, sweet Jade, who I love. And I think that just really heightened this experience for me. It made it so fun, and I really did enjoy the way that Stephen Graham Jones told this story. Again, I think if you only listened to it on audio, it would have sounded so confusing, and I could see why people wouldn't like that. And then the last book for the Stephen Graham Jones vlog was Killer on the Road and The Babysitter Lives, which is, again, this is one of those things where I was like, these are technically both novellas, but I counted it as one book in the spreadsheet. The Killer on the Road is following a 18-year-old girl who runs away from home after a big blow-up fight with her mom and is hitchhiking. She gets picked up by her friends, but they don't know that she's already been marked for an interstate serial killer, and it is this cat and mouse, like joyride-esque chase, and it was so fun. I gave this one 5 stars. My camera's gonna overheat. That's crazy. And then the other side, The Babysitter Lives, is about a babysitter who is babysitting in this haunted house. And that is all I'll say about that one. I gave that 4 stars. 4.5. I think I gave her 4. Yeah. This didn't go in the direction I thought it was going to. There was like liminal spaces. It was really fun. This is kind of the epitome of different things that I love in horror. Just a cat and mouse chase game. Love. And there's kind of like this one twist that you're like, that's totally gonna happen, right? And maybe it does, but maybe it happens in a really weird way. And that's all I'll say to that. The next vlog, that if you remember, I said I was still working on it. And that's because I said, it's October. Let me get every single horror book on my TBR and use a random number generator and do this vlog ends when I get a 5 star. It's November 16th and the vlog hasn't ended. So I'll tell you that much. The first book I got for this vlog was The Cotton Candy Massacre by Christopher Robertson. In this we are following a group of teenagers as they go to the reopening of Bonkins Bonanza one day in the summer. Both of the girls have broken up with their now ex-boyfriends the day before, so they're there just having a good old time, and the boys are there like, gotta win back the ladies. This is told in the summer of 1989, so I was trying to keep an open mind. That being said, I didn't love the beginning to this. I don't think I fully really enjoyed any of the characters. I think this is a little satire-y on that type of 80s splatter punk movie. The author really leaned into the characters, and because of that, I didn't connect with any of them. I didn't like any of them. Through every one of their intro scenes, I was like, and why do I give a crap about you? And then on top of that, our female main character is being described by everyone in her life when she's angry, looking like a cute kitten. An adorable kitten. And that was driving me bonkers. The middle, when they're at this carnival and shit goes wild, I loved it. I loved it so much. I thought there were so many fun, weird, creative kills happening in this book. And the words adorable kitten weren't used once. And then we got to the end. And I kind of, once I got to the end, I was like, how is this book still going? Like, this could have been 50-ish pages shorter. This is going to shut off in 16 seconds. This could have been a little bit shorter. And then both adorable and kitten came back into play as our bloodied and beaten female main character was doing really badass shit. And I got so freaking pissed off that I couldn't do it. But I did end up giving it 3 stars for the middle part alone. Oh, okay, bye. Okay, I don't think it's been that long, but hopefully it's long enough to get through the rest of this. I think it turned off right when I was saying I gave it 3 stars mostly for the middle. There was a lot of potential. I think the adorable kitten was satirical, hopefully. I also said in my blog, and I stand by this, that this man on the back is giving like elder millennial who was on Tumblr and MySpace a lot and is probably like unironically said "rar" as I love you. So I don't think that even if it wasn't satirical that the adorable kitten was meant in like a misogynistic way. It was just gross and I hated it every time it popped up, and it popped up so many times. Like, just choose anything else to say, really. Okay, but that was a 4-star, and that was also one of the independently published books I read. Okay, and then I picked up, and this, she was close, she was a 4. I picked up Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. This was my first full novel by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. I had read When the Tiger Came to the Mountains or something from the Trespass series on Amazon. I had read that. This was a really fun Gothic adventure. I just kind of wish the creepiness started setting in a little sooner. There was just a little bit of a pacing issue for me of getting into what was going on in this manor. But this is following our main character, Naomi, as her and her father get a letter from her cousin saying, he's trying to poison me, you must come for me, you have to save me. And her cousin has married this English white man and is secluded in this tiny town in their old, basically decrepit and decaying manor. This family used to own mines in the town and it went poorly. It was very much a slow burn into realizing I gotta save my cousin out of this house, figuring out what was going on with this family. There was one part that was very obvious to me, but the how, the zhuzh of it all, the flavor, I didn't know, and that was really fun. But it was not a 5-star, unfortunately. But I cannot wait to pick up another full-length novel. I do own Gods of Jade and Shadow somewhere. It's already packed. Haven't touched it. Next, I picked up The September House by Carissa Orlando, which I hauled in my 5-star video and then immediately got it on the number generator. Oh, and crazy, no wonder it was on the buy one get one 50% off and Barnes & Noble. What? I don't own scissors, so I'm gonna have to fix that another time. This started very slow for me and I was not about it. I don't think I fully realized that this was cozy horror, and I'm starting to think cozy stories don't work for me. I think Legends and Lattes was a one-off. I literally just unhauled bookshops and bone dust without reading it. I have no desire to pick it up. But everyone kept telling me that the ending gets crazy, and it did, which I enjoyed. So I gave this 3.5 stars. But this is following our main character, Margaret, as she is living in this house, which is her dream home. Her whole life, even as a kid, she just wanted somewhere to call home. And finally, once her daughter graduates high school and leaves for college, her and her husband are able to afford this beautiful, stunning Victorian house that is in fact haunted, and only haunted during September. Not only haunted during September, there are There's light ghosties around all year long, but in September, the walls start bleeding. They're screaming at night. Everything's crazy. And Margaret and her husband, after a few years, they part ways because Hal doesn't want to keep living like this. And Margaret's like, it's 1 month a year and this is my dream house. It's fine, babe. Just follow the rules of the house for a month and we'll be fine. But after Hal leaves their house, he stops answering phone calls. He's not talking to anyone. And their daughter is finally worried. And she says, Mom, I'm coming home. We're going to file a missing persons report. And her mom is trying to be like, can it just wait until October? Like, can't the missing persons report just wait until October? And her daughter's like, you're insane. There's a flight out tomorrow. I'll be there. And she is just trying to keep her daughter from figuring out anything that's going on in this house. I was gonna say, it turns out I do love a book where the house is a metaphor for something. But now that I'm thinking about it, like every haunted house book I've read, the house is a metaphor for something. So maybe that's just always happening. And I just liked this particular metaphor. But also the end did get batshit bonkers, and I loved that. There was this one scene where instead of like pretending everything in the house was fine, because from the daughter's point of view, she can't see any of the ghosts. She hasn't been there long enough, and so her mother's just kind of talking to herself in random rooms and moving things all over the house. Like there's dirt in the drawers and now the spoons are upstairs in the bathtub, which for a while the ghost that was doing that was the only character that I liked, just so you know. I ended up liking the end a lot. Next, I had a lot of faith in this one and it was still good, but it didn't end my video. The Unworthy by Augustina Bazterrica. I really enjoyed this. I gave it a 3.5. It is following a mysterious covenant of women following a man blindly in the world after some sort of climate disaster. But we are following our main character as she, from her old life, remembers how to read and write and is writing her life story, just her days that are passing, in whatever way she can. She's using blood for ink. She's mashing up like things she finds in the woods. She's using that for ink. And suddenly one day a outsider comes, a new woman. It's very kind of I Who Have Never Known Men ambiguous way. I think if you really want to know what is going on in this climate change world, don't read this book because you're not really gonna get the answers. But a new woman arrives and our main character is like a little obsessed with her. She wants to know more about this woman. What else can I tell you? Throughout this book, we're kind of diving into our main character's past. In the beginning, she's like, no one remembers their lives until they get to the Covenant, which, what is it called? It's like the cloister of something. She's slowly starting to really reconcile with her past and what she remembers, what her life was like trying to survive in this world after her parents had died, and just trying to navigate a world of climate change where rules don't exist anymore. And it's every man for himself. It was very interesting. I do think, honestly, if this was longer, and we delved in a little more, I could have really enjoyed more aspects of it. I think, I don't know what else I needed to change other than, I just wanted more. I wanted like a bigger bite into this world. Overall, really enjoyed. I don't think in anyone in the sphere of whose reviews I watch, I've seen give it a 5 star, so I would be interested to go read some 5-star reviews of that. Okay, this next book. The last book that I read in October, which I honestly really thought this was gonna be the book that ended this vlog. Every time I've looked at this book, I'm like, that is a 5-star. And I think I was so excited when I got this. Bless You, The Vegetarian by Han Kang, which all I knew was before the night period began, Young Hae and her husband lived an ordinary, controlled life. But the dreams, invasive images of blood and brutality torture her, driving Young Hae to purge her mind and renounce eating meat altogether. When I first finished this book, I turned the camera on like 2 seconds after I finished the book, and I was like, what the hell was this? I'm so mad. And the more I talked about it, the more I do enjoy the book for what it was, but I was expecting something so creepy and crazy and weird coming with this not eating meat, blah, 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 blah. But instead, it's just, you're getting 3 perspectives and none of them are Young Hae's. It's reminiscent of where is that book. It's down here and it's tiny. Oh, Nettie. Okay, reminded me a little bit of Weasels in the Attic by Hiroko Yamada, because this is also a book about women only, and you only get the lens of the men watching this one woman. This book is told between her husband, her sister, and her sister's husband. A lot of it is the different ways people cannot see you when you're going through a mental health crisis, perceive it the wrong way, and be completely unhelpful to you, whether it's just assuming you're crazy, not listening to what you're saying at all and how you're feeling and what is going on in your mind, and just dismissing it. There are representations of how people can understand you're not well and just use that to manipulate you and get what they want in the end. And then there's kind of like the selfishness of her sister. A lot of her perspective was not really seeing her sister, but thinking about how this could have been her if some things shook out differently. So it was very interesting in that aspect, and I do respect it for that. That being said, I didn't really enjoy reading it that much. I think I was gonna give it a lower rating and then end it at a 3, as I really thought about the representation behind mental health in this, the dismissiveness to women, especially when it comes to mental health, and it's kind of just, I think if we had gotten an actual real perspective from Young Hae, I could have liked it more. I don't know, I just didn't love this as I thought I would, and I'm not gonna lie, I totally thought this was gonna be like a crazy weird fiction about suddenly not eating meat and why, and like choosing not to because you think something bad is gonna happen, and something bad happens anyways, and like I thought there was gonna be maybe crazy cannibalism or something, and that's just not what that book was. And I am trying to be better about reviewing and rating books for what they are and not really what I perceive them to be going into them. But that being said, like, sometimes I'm really excited for something weird and crazy because that's what I think it's going to be. Like Blob, a love story, and that's not what you get. And you gotta just think about what you got as how it was written, you know? But that is the last book. Oh my god, it's gonna shut off again. Okay, I'll be back in like 10 minutes to do an outro. Sorry. Okay, hopefully that was long enough. So those are the 2 vlogs I filmed. Well, I guess I started, I should say, in October because, yeah, like I said, still filming the 5-star. You're still reading the book I pulled on October 31st for it. And you know what? That one, not a 5-star. I am enjoying it. Not gonna be a 5-star. So we'll see how long it takes me to finish that vlog. I think next you're gonna see from me is Stephen Graham Jones, and then if I'm still filming finding a 5-star, I'm gonna do a new releases vlog that I filmed in September that I'm pretty sure I sobbed like a little bitch in. So those are coming to look forward to. I got an unhaul, and yeah, thank you so much for hanging out for this probably chaotic video. I'm gonna stop talking now because I have to pack all of these books and everything else in this apartment. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you hopefully very shortly with some sort of vlog or other video. And who knows when you'll see me in the new location. Hopefully at least by January. Okay. Bye.